up, YouTube? It's Justine, and yes, you did read the title right. This is the story time on the time that I was stood up or played by my prom date. And I'm telling this story not to bash this person, but to use this or for you guys to use this as a learning experience or a lesson. And I say that because leading up to prom, I watched so many prom videos, whether it was Get Ready With Me, a vlog, or a story time. And most of the story times that came in the little autoplay, I think that's what it's called, like when you keep the videos playing, the autoplay playlist were prom date horror stories. And I'd watch them and be like, that can't happen. Like, that don't even sound right. Like, that doesn't add up. But I never, like, really applied their situations to my life, which I feel like could have been super helpful. So with that being said, if next year or a year after that, whenever you're going to prom, you're going to have a date and you go through a situation that may sound similar to this one, think about it and deal with it before you get close to prom so that you're not stressing out that close to prom, because no one deserves to be stressed by prom. So again, I am not bashing this person at all. Before I even tell the story though, thumbs this video up just for telling the story, and subscribe and turn on my post notifications so that you'll never miss an upload. If you see me looking down, it's because I do have some of the screenshots. Like, I'm not going to put them in the video. I'm just going to go through and look at them so that I can make sure I'm, like, accurately telling the story and make sure I'm telling it, like, 100% correct. So that's why I'm looking down. And also, one more thing before I start telling the story, if you are easily offended, if you feel like this video is going to offend you, or you may already be offended for whatever reason, just go ahead and click out this video and go find another video on my channel. It is okay. You don't have to all watch this video. I'm telling this again as a learning experience. So let's start telling the story. So obviously this happened my senior year. I graduated high school in June. So this happened like a couple months ago. Well, a few months ago, I should say, in April. So before prom, I was okay with not having a date. Like, I was fine with that. I was going with my friends. We're all going to go have fun anyways. I did not care. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I don't have a date. Like, my heart's broken. Like, the world's coming to an end. So I was fine. And I think by this point, I already had a dress by this point. And I think I already had shoes. I think I was already pretty much done prom shopping. So I had my dress, my shoes, my jewelry, and my purse. And then this was about 2 weeks before prom. My sister and her prom date had, I guess, talked or whatever. And her prom date had a good friend. And we're just going to call this friend, we're going to call him Mike for the sake of the story time. I'm not going to tell you the person's real name because that's bashing, and we're not bashing here. But Mike was my sister's prom date friend, who was going to be my prom date. And my sister, not my biological sister, not my 5-year-old. This is my other sister. We're not biologically related, but blood couldn't make us closer. Just put that out there. But anyways, so my sister's prom date ended up talking to me, telling me, oh, this is my friend, Mike, blah, blah, blah. You guys can go to prom together, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, got Mike's number, and we had talked a little bit leading up to prom, because that is one thing I will say. If you are going to get set up with someone for prom, at least talk to them like a couple times before prom, so that like you're not meeting for the first time on prom night, so it's not like super awkward and you're like just awkward strangers with each other, because that just makes pictures awkward. That makes the whole night awkward. And also another thing, that this is in no way, shape, or form my sister or her prom date's fault either. Just going to say that now before anyone starts assuming. Yeah. And going forward, I'm not going to like be telling my opinion on the story just because I'm going to tell the story straight through. You can form your own opinions in your head. But back into the story now. So I talked to Mike. We probably texted a couple of days, maybe like 3 or 4, just like, you know, icebreaker kind of thing. Like, my name is, I play this sport, blah, blah, blah. Which is cool, whatever, no big deal. Like, we're going to prom, we're not getting married, it's not that big of a deal. And then actually, like, accidentally met, I don't say accidentally, I coincidentally met Mike. So I ended up being at a professional basketball game and so did Mike, my sister, and her prom date. And we didn't know that we were all going to the same place until we all got there. And my local NBA team, the arena's pretty big, so I did like walk a good little distance to like meet Mike and them where they were sitting, because we were sitting in different like sections. But anyways, so I did meet Mike, and Mike also met my mom at this professional basketball game. And then this was about 1 week before prom. Or no, this was a week before spring break. So we had like a week of school, spring break, and then that next weekend was prom. So this is when things started getting a little iffy. At my school, we have to have guest passes to bring someone from another school. So if you wanted to bring a date who didn't go to school with you and is 21 or under, I think, maybe 22, I don't know. You have to get this pass, and your parents fill it out, their school fills it out, and you turn it in, and the school either approves it or doesn't approve it. I don't think my school ever didn't approve a guest pass, but anyways, that's beside the point. But for prom, they had a policy that only the first 100 guests get approved. Like, they're only going to accept 100 guest passes, and after that, your guests can't come. And it's prom, so everyone's going to bring, like, their friends, like, whether it's, like, your best friend or your cousin. I don't know. Everyone's trying to bring a date, so everyone's going to bring people who don't go to our school. So the day of the professional basketball game was, I think it was on a Tuesday. So this is, like, Tuesday, and then we had, like, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, spring break, and the week of prom. So I had my sister offered to deliver the guest pass to my prom date, so she gave it to him on Wednesday. So I was like, okay, cool. Get the guest pass signed on Wednesday or Thursday, get it back to my sister, and we'll turn it in on Friday, so we'll go to spring break with no worries. That was the idea, okay? This did not happen at all. So it was Thursday. I texted Mike on Thursday, and I was like, hey, like, you get the guest pass signed, did you give it back to my sister at her prom date so that, like, we can turn it tomorrow? And I can't remember, and I don't have the screenshot of this, but I don't remember if Mike, I think he said, no, I do have a screenshot of this. He said that the principal wasn't at school today, or wasn't at school that day. The principal wasn't at school that day. So my sister texted me, and she was like, oh, he didn't get the guest pass signed, which I already knew, but, you know, we just all had, like, me and my sister communicated really well. So that was that. And since he didn't get it signed that Thursday, there was no way I was going to be able to turn it in on Friday, because I only have 4 classes, and I wasn't going to stay at school any longer than I needed to, because couldn't do it. So I'm like, okay, no biggie, get it signed on Friday, and then, like, somebody will get it from you over spring break, and we'll just turn it in first thing on Monday, like when we get back from spring break, because people aren't going to turn their guest passes in that fast. And the guest passes weren't due until the Thursday before prom, which was like the 20th, April 20th. Yeah, it was April 20th. So I think fast forward to spring break. I think it was like Wednesday or something like that. So me and my mom went to Bel Air, and we bought, actually no, backtrack. Before we went to spring break, I bought the ticket, and so a single ticket was $45 and a couple ticket was $90. So I paid $90 for the ticket, and I texted him the day I got the ticket, and I said, like, are you sure you're going to be able to go, because I got the ticket already? And he's like, oh yeah, I can go, I just need my principal to sign the guest pass, I'm waiting for him to approve it. This was the Friday before spring break. So fast forward now into spring break, it was like Wednesday or something like that, and my mom, we bought the boutonniere, the little thing they wear on, like, their tugs with the flower, that, like, she bought my corsage and his boutonniere. So mind me, by this point, we paid for, like, the ticket and the boutonniere and my corsage too. And then, like, my dress and all that stuff, but that's not part of the story. Then one of my friends posted a little, like, coupon thing from Men's Warehouse, where the person who uses the coupon gets it, like, 40% off, and the person whose coupon it is also gets money off their suit. So I was like, okay, you know what, like, let me screenshot this and send it to Mike, because, you know, maybe he'll be like, oh, I haven't got my suit yet, or thanks for sending me that, like, I'm gonna go get my suit this weekend, something. Like, I thought this would spark some conversation about the suit, so that I could, like, know, like, what was going on, like at what point or like what progress he had made with his suit. So I sent it over spring break, and I was like, in case you wanted to use this. And this was like on a Wednesday, I think, of spring break. And he never replied, which no biggie, like, ain't no thank you, but it's not that big of a deal. If you use it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. Whatever, I'm not tripping. So then, now, fast forward to Monday, we're back at school. And since the principal wasn't at school the Friday before spring break, it was not, the guest pass obviously couldn't be signed that Friday. So I texted on Monday, and I was like, did you get the guest pass signed? Because at this point, like, we have a couple of days, people are turning their guest pass in, like, we need to get this done. And he said that he gave it to him before break, and he's supposed to give it back today. But the principal wasn't at school on Friday, so I'm just gonna keep telling the story. Y'all could in your mind figure out and make your own judgment, but I'm just telling the story. So just, yeah. And then, like, later this day, this is a Monday, and later, like, on that Monday, he texted and said that his principal said that he didn't want to sign the guest pass because he was supposed to go to a prom the day before my school's prom, which, I'm not even gonna say that. Y'all, again, make your own assumptions and make your own judgments. So I'm thinking, like, okay, if you ask the principal said no. He went to a bigger school than mine, so, like, ask the vice principal. Because at my school, like, our school is small, that if you ask principal and they tell you no, the vice principal's going to tell you no too. But if you go to a big school and the principal tells you no, you can go to the vice principal and they probably won't even know the principal told you no. Because sometimes they don't even communicate like that, like, at some schools. So I was like, ask the vice principal, do that, like, it's not that hard. And then, like, a couple hours later, again, still on Monday, he says that him and the vice principal said they didn't want to approve it because of other prom that he's supposed to go to. So I'm like, what? That's what I'm thinking, because at this point, like, I don't know, like, there's no way for me to figure out how to solve this situation. So I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't even reply. And then my sister's prom date texted me and said, like, you know what? How about you have your principal call his principal, and maybe they can talk, and then, like, your principal can convince his principal to sign it or whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. Me and my principal had, like, a really good, I don't want to say friendship, but, like, we were cool. Like, we didn't have, like, people had problems, like, with the principal, like, you know, people who got in trouble a lot, it wouldn't work out for them, but I never really got in trouble, and we were cool. So I was like, okay, no big deal, I'll ask the principal. So then, this is Tuesday now, so this is Tuesday before prom. So I like, okay, go talk to my principal. I tell him the story will happen. He's like, you know what, like, this don't add up. But I'm just like, I'm just telling you the story. Just like I'm telling y'all the story, I was just telling him the story. He's like, this does not add up, this doesn't make sense. So I told him what happened. He's like, okay, I'll text his principal. So okay, I stood there and watched him text the principal. He said, he put in the message, like, Mike's real name. And he sent the message. I, like, literally stood there and watched him send the message. And I went back to class. And then, since I only have 4 classes, I left at lunch before he had got a response. So I had to, like, send a message through our school website. Like, this little, like, our school website, we have this little page where you can, like, send, like, a text, I guess, to the principal, but it comes to you, like, through an email. That didn't make sense at all. It's like you can type it as a text, and then they'll respond to you, and you receive the response in your email, if that makes sense. So then I said, no, my principal emailed me back and was saying, he said that, like, your date's playing. He spoke to the administration at his school. His administration told my principal that they hadn't seen any, like, guest pass from Mike. So I'm like, interesting. This is real interesting. 2 + 2 is equaling what? I don't know. But, let's see what happened next. So then I told him what my principal said. I basically told him, like, my principal said this, like, what's up? And then he says, like, hours later, that his vice principal said that he never got a text from my principal and blah, blah, blah. So then I'm like, well, how'd that work? Like, I'll watch the text message be sent to the vice principal. And then I sent the screenshot of my principal's message to him, and I was like, well, this is what he said, like, I don't know what to tell you. And then Mike responds saying, if you want me to, I'll have my principal call tomorrow, which tomorrow would have been Wednesday, a day before guest passes are due. So I'm just like, okay, like, this is really doing the most. All this, like, calling back and forth and stuff like that, like, I don't do that, like, because I only have 4 classes, so that means I have to spend extra time at school looking for my principal and, like, trying to solve this and going to the office to find him. And I really wasn't for it. But I'm like, okay, maybe this can work out. So he offered for his principal to call my principal on Wednesday. And then, so he could get the guest pass faxed over so it'd be at school by Thursday. And then, to be honest, I don't even remember what happened on Wednesday. I don't think the principal called my principal. And I don't think I talked to Mike on Wednesday at all. I can't recall what happened on Wednesday. Like, I just don't think anything happened. And then on Thursday, guest passes were due. And I also, on Thursday, we got out of school early. So, like, we got out of school, what, an hour early? No, like 45 minutes early. So I left school at 11:41, right? I think something like that. And I didn't have a guest pass to turn in. So at this point, I had already, actually no, on Wednesday, I remember what happened. Wednesday, I didn't have, like, I hadn't talked to Mike on Wednesday, and my principal didn't say anything about principal talking to him. So I'm like, okay, well, right now we spent money on a couple's ticket when I could have bought a single ticket, and we have a boutonniere that has, like, for nothing. So basically, my friend hadn't got her ticket yet, so she gave me $45, and then we just switched her name for Mike's name on the ticket, and the boutonniere, we was just out the money for that one. And then come, like, Friday, I think on Friday, he got the guest pass signed, but at this point, it's too late, and prom's the next day, and I was cool, and we already switched ticket and everything like that. So that is pretty much that. And with all that being said, in this story time, I just want to say that if you are going to get set up with someone for prom, and you're going to, like, get set up with them as your date, like, really be on them about deadlines, because deadlines, like, most schools aren't going to really just bend the deadlines for you because your prom date couldn't turn stuff in. So if it's like 2 to 4 prom and your person can't do, like, just the things that you need them to do by a certain deadline, honestly, just go by yourself, because save yourself, like, stress of having to not only handle your own stuff and handle someone else's stuff. That's not even worth it. Yeah, and then you're going to waste money and all that stuff, and it's not even worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Again, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.